Hello and welcome back to Women Who Heal. Today I'm sitting down with Adriana, who is a PMDD advocate, podcast host and mother, to unpack the deeper layers beneath PMDD symptoms, relationship patterns and self-sabotage. Adriana shares her journey from numbing and survival to true healing, motherhood and creating a life she once thought wasn't possible. Together, we're exploring nervous system regulation, limiting beliefs, attachment styles, and the profound inner work that makes lasting change possible. Whether you're newly diagnosed or deep in the work, this conversation is an invitation to pause, reflect, and remember who you really are beneath the pain. So, Adriana, it's so great to have you on. I was on your podcast years ago, and now here we are, you sort of switching spots. So I'm going to interview you today because you've got so much to share. The question I like to start with whenever I have an expert on this podcast is, what is it that you wish you could just write across the sky so that everyone could see it?
Mm. Firstly, I just want to say I'm just so flattered that you've called me an expert. It's so lovely.
I reckon you've got at least 10,000 hours on PMDD and women's hormones and women's health. So I'd say that's a very well deserved title as expert. So, yeah, but think about
Mm.
that. I know I've just sprung it upon you. What?
No, no, and I always when I get a question that's sprung on me, I do take a few seconds to think about it, but I also go with I like to trust myself these days.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that came up was this is not the real you.
This
Like,
is not the real you. To
I
go
mean, because we're
deeper into.
talking about we're obviously here to talk about PMDD and and healing and everything. I know there's probably a lot of other things in my life that I'd love to spray across the world, but in terms of specifically this
Mm,
topic, this is not the real you.
mm, mm. And I think as well, there's PMDD, and as I get older, I'm 46 now, and I'm coming into perimenopause, and so I'm very interested in that as a subject as well. And I think there's a lot of similarities because PMDD happens in the autumn of the cycle. Perimenopause happens in the autumn of a woman's life. The estrogen
Mm,
drops in both cases, so there are similarities. So I want you to go deeper into that for me.
mm,
This is not the real you. What do
mm,
you mean? What do you mean by that? I have a great idea what you mean, but I want you to open up.
mm. I I believe that it's you are not being your authentic self,
Mm,
and once you start. And I always got to remember to say this, to pause, to stop, and to listen, because you have all the answers. And once you start unraveling, like it's like that cliche thing that they say, unraveling the onion, and those onion layers are all these limited beliefs, and you just got to keep unlayering, because, and I'm not saying that I'm 100% my authentic self all the time. That's definitely not there, but I know that I'm getting so much closer to
mm,
it.
mhm,
And a tool is to really identify these limiting beliefs that are coming up and asking myself, like, where is this coming from? Which part of me is this?
mm,
And, and then also tying in the nervous system regulation work to be able to, I think that's been a really key driver as well, is really regulating the nervous system so I can get to that calm space so that I can work on these limited beliefs, and then not just sit there, because then you unravel a few layers and then you kind of get a little bit complacent and then you ruffle the feathers again, like in my case, getting into a relationship or
mm.
having a baby, and you're like, oh, we gotta
Yep,
keep
so
unraveling.
exactly. That you've probably heard it called, like, it's called new level, new devil. You
Yes.
you rise and you sort of, I say it's like, it's a bit like a snake that needs to constantly shed its skin. You grow into your next comfort zone, and then you hit a new one that's like, I've never been here before, this doesn't feel familiar, and then the mind's job is to hold you where you are with what we already know, keep everything nice and familiar. So all this stuff will kick in really strong, like a sabotage and upper limit, whenever you come across something new. And I think having a child as well is huge. So many of my clients find that PMDD begins after they were like, I was fine, and then I had a baby, and just everything just, and they assume it's their hormones have gone haywire after pregnancy and birth. And I'm not saying that's not the case, perhaps it is, but
Mm.
there's certainly, when I look at everything through the trauma lens, and again, I want to caveat that trauma doesn't necessarily mean big traumatic events. It can be little things that you made mean something detrimental about yourself.
Mm.
Um, that can be triggered by this child that's in your life because they are like you used to be, and they're doing
Mm.
things that you used to do and were shut down for. So when a kid's, crying, it's just like, oh gosh, and it can be extremely irritating because the baby in you was never allowed to cry without being told to be quiet or pacified in a way that didn't feel like you were met. So lots of things kids do. They don't listen. They leave their mess. It's so triggering because it's all the stuff in you that you would never have gotten away with. It's an inner child in you saying, "Who do you think you are? I would never have been allowed to do that. So you're not going to get to do it either." Um, so that's a really interesting thing that can happen with motherhood. And so you've got a 10-month
Mm.
old now, beautiful little bow.
Yes.
Um, I mean, be as personal or as you want to be, but how's that been for you coming into motherhood?
Oh, yeah, that's another unraveling, isn't it?
How long have we got? Yeah, because I
Yeah,
said,
totally.
should I call you Fudge or should I call you Adriana? Because Fudge was always the nickname you went by, but when you became a mother, and
Mm.
this is the identity shift that happens too. It's just, it doesn't. I'm Adriana now. I'm a woman.
Mm.
That was my I don't know how long you've had that nickname for when you were younger, but suddenly you've stepped into this mother role and it doesn't feel appropriate. Is that sort of how you felt?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's still nice being called Fudge because then it's sort of like that cheeky reminder of who I used to be.
Mhm,
But
mhm, mhm,
I guess for me, motherhood, I think I need to also add that, I was single until I was 39, pretty much. And so not only did I go into a relationship that we haven't even been together for 2 years.
mm,
10
wow,
months into 10 months into our relationship, I got pregnant.
mhm,
And then we obviously had Bo. So I feel like not only has it been a motherhood journey, but it's also been this beautiful, trying to work out this whole relationship thing. Like I'm sharing a space with another human, which I've
mm,
never had to do before. So it's been absolutely wild, but I wouldn't have it any other way and I'm so grateful that I was able to do so much healing before
oh, yeah,
both of these events sort of came
mhm,
to. And don't get me wrong, like it's still been a roller coaster, but
yeah,
there's just this inner knowing that like I've done it before. Like I've gone through the trenches before, and now like with I mean we've had quite a bit of where we've been doing so much work together on this, knowing that this is a new relationship, there's work to be done, and now
mm,
we've thrown in this gorgeous little boy as well.
yeah, it's a lot. It's, yeah, the relationship itself is such a mirror for everything that you didn't know was there, and
Mm.
there's a book in Danish that's the title, if I translate it, is "This is why you can never fall in love with the wrong person," which is a very
Mm.
controversial title. But the meaning of it is, look, you're always going to be a match for whoever you are attracted to. Whether or not
Mm.
that is toxic or not is another question. But that's what's so wonderful that you've come through so many, I call them like forced dark nights of the soul with
Mm.
PMDD because you can run but you can't hide. It just swamps you and puts you in touch with all this dark stuff
Mm.
inside yourself that really the average person doesn't have to face except under some sort of extreme circumstance. But for those who
Mm.
have PMDD, it's just every month, more or less, just being put in touch with your shadows. So it's a fast track. And Eckhart Tolle talks about this in A New Earth. He says that those that women will be the first to reach, a type sort of enlightenment.
Mm,
And he says it's because of the cycle, because we are.
mm,
And I mean, and those with PMDD, multiply that by 1,000. So
totally.
you had that forced dark night of the soul experience, which had made you face things about yourself, um, which means you heal them in the end.
Mm,
You can numb it and run from it for so long, but then once you actually face it, the healing starts to occur. And so then you become a match for something better. So it's kind of a
mm,
blessing that you held off until you were 39, because a lot of us don't.
mm.
A lot of us get into these entanglements, these trauma bonds with other human beings, learn a lot of lessons in those relationships as well, that's for sure. But wonderful to go in knowing yourself, just like you said before. Oh, I know myself, so my gut response to this question is right. Um,
Mm,
that's an amazing thing to go into a relationship with, and of course, there's going to be learning as well. Mm.
always.
So, anything you want to share for I don't know about relationships that you feel that you've learned? Any big lessons that you think, gosh, if I hadn't been through PMDD,
Mm,
um, I know this is just such a huge box of stuff to open up, but
mm,
anything that you're grateful for. What are you grateful for
mm.
that going through PMDD's taught you?
Oh, goodness. I mean, the silver lining was that I mean, there was so much that I needed to work on. And for years and decades, I just numbed myself because I didn't have those tools. I didn't know what was going on. And I thought there was something really seriously wrong with me. And I
Mm,
was terrified about going to get a diagnosis. So I just kept numbing myself. And finally, I've been sober almost 6 years,
mm,
and and that was the turning point for me when I stopped drinking, stopped taking drugs, stopped numbing myself. It's all fun and games for the first 3 or 6 months. You're like, this is great. I mean, why didn't I do this earlier? And then you have to face your stuff, and
mm,
you don't have a crutch. And I mean, this is why people can relapse, right? Because it's so dark and so hard. And that's when, the PMDD, like I was facing that head on. And then going through my healing journey, what was so amazing was that just that trust and that knowing that I just knew that I didn't need medication. I knew that I could heal myself. And what the beauty was is along the way, I just created this amazing toolbox. And with that toolbox, I was able to sort of, and it keeps evolving as well, because sometimes, the meditations or the certain like regulating tools that you do, they sometimes get a bit outdated. And then, as like you said, new level, new devil, when you start, you find a new tool that you can sort of use. And so you start using that, and then that amplifies, and that has amazing effects as well. But so I think for me, PMDD has just been such a gift because I've been able to really find who I am, love
mm,
who I am as
mm.
well,
Yeah.
and create these beautiful, beautiful beliefs about myself, which again, are not always there. And sometimes I forget.
Yeah.
And I sometimes forget, and I just have to go back and get quiet and restart the work again. But I think when I think of relationships, it's really important to find somebody that's willing to do the work with you, I
Mm.
think. Well, for me anyways, because it's something that was so important going into this relationship. I had a couple of non-negotiables.
Yeah,
And
it's good to have those. Must-haves, exactly. You sort of have to I always say you raise the bar and then the universe delivers, and you have to hold it there. You can't compromise, and you can't and it'll test you too, and if you sort of go, "Nah, okay, it's fine, I'll just ignore that red flag,"
mm,
then your integrity's compromised. You've let yourself down. So it's important to hold that.
and really stand for yourself and what you insist upon for your life. Um,
And I mean, and one of those non-negotiables is like, I want to keep leveling up,
mm,
and I don't want to leave you behind. You've got to keep
mm,
leveling up too, or it's where it's like, I think there's a analogy about we're both climbing the same mountain, but I'm not piggybacking you, you're not piggybacking me. We're going up this mountain together. And sometimes I'll get to some bits faster than you and maybe have to come back and get you to, or vice versa. But we're on the same path. We're going to the same, we're trying to reach the same goal, which we'll never get to, obviously. But I want to continue going up and I want to do it with you. So you're coming or you're not.
and the thing about reaching that, if you ever got to the top of the mountain, I've had a few top of the mountain moments in my life. And it's
Mm,
great for 5 minutes, and then you go, "Well, now what? Well, this is boring, like, I liked it when I was climbing, actually. I thought I was gonna be happy when I got to the top, and now I'm here, I'm like, oh, it was way more fun getting here." It's like the cliche of it's not the destination, it's the journey, which you hear your whole life.
mm,
A few moments where I have kind of metaphorically arrived and gone, "Oh, well, I'm bored now." So
mm,
I agree. You want to sort of feel like the mountain continues, or there's a new mountain that you then find for the rest of your life. Because if God forbid you ever arrive and you still have another 50 years to go, like that would be
totally.
disaster. Um, I always find it interesting because men and women are so different. Women are notoriously more connected to their emotions, and men are generally a lot more logical. And certainly, that holds true for me. I'm married to a doctor. He's a pediatric cardiologist. He's very much
Mm,
about, you know, biology and what we know and science and what's proven and um, and I'm very spiritual, and I believe in science, and of course, all for it. But there's been finding that balance and that language to communicate. We've been together 14 years, and it's been sometimes just feels like we're on completely different playing fields, trying to find the language. Actually, it really
mm.
does feel like men are from Mars, women are from Venus sometimes. Um, but I know I've got a particularly logical man. How do you find it in um, in that communicating when you're climbing that mountain together?
Oh, at the beginning, it was so tough. It was so tough. And, uh, but I was doing so much work on myself at the same time. And I was reading a lot of books as well. And I think the game changer for me, actually, there was quite a few, but one, when I really learnt about attachment theory, like the attachment styles,
Mm.
and it's a framework. I don't attach myself to this framework, and I'm glad that when I learnt about it, the person that introduced me to it framed it like that as well. But it was such a useful tool and understanding my attachment styles and how, I'm avoidant.
Mm.
And it's well, I identify most as an avoidant, I should say. And when I made that realization and realize that I always just want to leave. Like that feels safe for me when it get, when things get too much, I would like to leave. And then you actually it's like the threat detector looks for all the things that are wrong with them.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, well, you're obviously not my person, so I'm going to leave.
Yeah. And see that obviously, as soon as, and this is what I always tell my clients, is as soon as you hear the word obviously, you know you're being irrational. It is like there is only one
Oh,
way
I
to
got
do it.
goosebumps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So obviously you don't care about me. Obviously, like fill in the blank, and you have just identified you're in black and white thinking, you're being irrational. You need to stop and you need to ask the question, is this true? You need to, as soon
Mm,
as you say, obviously, you're not the right person for me, is that true?
mm,
Can I be
mm,
certain that it's true? Bring out the Byron Katie questions on it. Is that true? Can I be certain that it's true? Because then your mind will look for proof of why it's actually not true, and it starts to get a bit shaky in just how true you thought it was. Because we're so quick as women, we're very good at inferring. which is a skill. It's like, oh, it's women's intuition. And women's intuition's great unless you've got all these lenses over your vision
Mm,
where you make inferences that are absolutely off the mark. Um,
mm,
and obviously, you don't care.
mm.
Obviously, you're not right for me. Obviously, you just don't get me, um, which is, I think, a big one. And just, I'm going to just bookmark the you don't get me because I want to go deeper into that. But back to what you were saying.
Mm. So that was a really important knowing, like just something that I, was able to learn about myself and realized how I was going into this relationship. And then something else that was really important for me to understand, because remember, I had never been in a relationship before, so I really didn't know how to dance in one at all.
Mm,
But I think another game changer for me was realizing that we're two completely different human beings with such different upbringings
mhm,
and belief systems and expectations as well. And what I love now is when I remember to. It's like we're both wearing glasses
mhm.
and we're seeing, a situation, a particular situation from two totally different lenses. And
Yeah.
it's about taking off the lenses and trying to pick up their lens and go,
Mhm.
and that's the analogy, but it's like talking to them and say, well, what does this actually mean
Okay.
for you? How do you see this? And
Mm,
when you start unraveling that, and something that what I love saying is when we're in these types of disagreements or trying to understand each other, is I love saying the story that I'm telling myself.
I was just about to say this. If you weren't going to say it, I was going to say it because I heard it's Brené Brown. She said it once, and I went, "Oh, okay, this is life changing." And I teach it as well.
Yep.
But the story, because
Mm,
there's no attack in it. I'm taking full
none.
ownership for the experience that I'm having of this situation. It feels true, but I'm open to being convinced otherwise. So the story I'm telling myself is, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So continue. Yeah, so
mm.
we had the exact same thing to say. Mm,
But yeah, we both heard that on a podcast. I think I didn't realize that it was Brené Brown. So that's great. I'm so happy that I've been able to make that connection now. But when we talk to each other like that, it's sometimes when they tell me, like, if he tells me this is the story, I'm like, no, that's that's totally off. And then we're able to work from that.
mm,
And sometimes, sometimes um we can still be unresolved, but we can still come, like, it can be placed somewhere, and you know and we can go back to it at another time when we feel ready to. And that, if we've both made that sort of agreement with each other.
yeah,
But it's still hard, still
yeah.
tough.
It's especially when you're so sure you're right, and that's what
Yeah.
these negative beliefs want you to believe. They don't want to feel better. As Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body, I call it the box of pain. Same thing. It's coming up and it wants a snack. It's looking for proof of itself. So it doesn't want you to say that's not what it meant, because it doesn't serve its survival. It
Mm,
wants more proof that it's true. I'm not lovable. That's the pain body. Let's say the pain body is I'm not lovable. It just wants proof of that. It doesn't want to hear you are. It's like that's unpalatable
mhm,
to a pain body that comes up. It just wants to prove itself right. And this
mm,
is all the stuff that comes up in the luteal phase, all of this unresolved, yucky pain body stuff hijacks, takes over. And I used to say to
mm.
my husband, like, if you see because I explained to him the whole thing, this is the pain body, this is the concept of the pain body. Okay. So if it feels like I've disappeared and something else has come over and you don't recognize me, or if I'm emotional and very upset about something and you're just standing there with your hands in the air going, huh? What did I do? You can guarantee that I'm triggered. There's a pain body
Mm,
hijack going on. And I want you to say to me, is this the pain body right now? And that just creates this window of awareness. I said, I will. If you
Mm.
pull the pain body card, and don't just pull it every time you
Yeah.
disagree with me, all right? There's a fair usage policy on this on this pain body card.
Mm,
But to be able to just bring that, and that's a great thing a partner can do, because and it takes awareness on their part to not feel attacked and retaliate or defend, and that's their role in these, or
mhm,
whoever it is that's triggered and the one that's being attacked, to be able to stay present enough to say, "Oh, I think they're in pain right now. I think they've told themselves a story that's not true and they're responding to that. I think this is a grain of salt in an old wound that has nothing to do with me. I wonder what's going on for them. Is this the pain body right now?" And just that is
mm,
enough to take a pause and go, let me just take myself away and sit with this, and then ask, what am I making this mean?
mm,
And and own the emotion of that. And now, where do I know this from? What does this remind me of? And you'll find the mind is very quite happy to sort of go, it's this. It will flash
mm,
up your childhood. It'll say, this is your dad. This is that time you got smacked and your mum didn't come to your defense. This is that time when, whatever it is, your mind will bring you, it's this that's unresolved. And now you're trying to resolve it on your partner. And so you've got
mm,
to heal it back in time. That's what the work I do is all about, is going back in time under hypnosis to the moment that the trauma was created and undoing the meaning that you gave it there. Because it isn't what's
mm,
happened to you, it's the meaning that you've given it, that you still carry, that you're still trying
mm.
to prove true. Yeah.
And isn't it beautiful when, like, I've been able to identify these trigger patterns so much quicker, and it's just I find, I don't know, there's been, especially in the last few months, where I've been able to identify them quicker, and I've been able to feel safe to be able to say it out loud.
Mm.
'Cause I mean, I don't say pain body, I just say, "I'm really triggered right now."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and he'll go, "What about?" I'm like, "I got no idea." And exactly what you do. I need to leave. I just need to go and have a few moments, and I just need to really just sit with it and ask myself a few questions and then come back. And again,
Mm.
it's always gonna be something from that happened so
Yeah.
long ago.
Where else is it going to be from? You've only got this
Mhm.
life. There's only it's only a certain number of years back. That, I mean, of course, we can go into past lives and things like that.
Mm,
But for the sake of this conversation, most of my clients go back to childhood things. Yeah, and often I think sometimes what seems like a past life is the mind coming with a metaphor, to
mm,
show you what you need to understand. So it's hard to know. The mind is so incredible; it can do anything. Um, yeah, and on that, this is this bookmark I did before about. I really used to feel like, oh, you're never going to get me. No, you're just not emotional enough. You're not spiritual enough. You don't get it. You don't get it. You just don't get it. Right. And I know I'm not alone in this. I think every woman on the planet felt this way. My girlfriends would understand. My girlfriends would understand. This is not rocket science, right? All those sorts of feelings. But you know what I realized is, and everything's a mirror. I
mm,
was I wasn't feeling safe enough to show all of it. It was me. I wasn't getting me. I was going, you can't tell him that. He's not going to understand you. He's going to think you're too weird. He's going to think you're too dark. He's going to think you're just a mess. And I was restricting what I would tell him. There's two big occasions I can remember where I'd just been a bitch all day. I was upset. I had all this stuff churning inside, and I thought, I don't even know how to put words on this. The first time one occasion was all about my music. So I used to be married to my music producer, and when we divorced, the classic, when we divorced, I packed all my music away with the pain of the divorce. Just went, and I
mm,
sort of was in complete denial that I'd even done it. I'd be like, no, that was another chapter. I
mm,
I help people in other ways now through therapy. It's the same thing. It's just a different vehicle. And no, I sing to the kids, and no, I don't need to do that anymore. There's a whole
mm,
part of myself that I'd packed away in a box of pain and just
Mm.
put it on the shelf and just thought, if I open up the box of music, all the pain and regret and anger comes out. So I can't. I didn't realize that. We went to Australia for a year in 2023, and I had some space there and some time. And I think that music just, someone asked me, who would you be in your fullest expression? And I just
Mm.
instinctively
Mm.
blurted out, I would be singing. And he went, what? Are you a singer? And I went, yes, for shame. That's such a big part of me, and no one even knows it. And that's how long it's been since I've touched it. And I thought, oh, and that opened up the box. And there's a song I wrote, the first song on the album that I ended up making, which is called Revive. And the first line in it is, I opened up the box, didn't know what I'd be letting out. And
Mm.
um, that day I remember I was so tetchy, and I just ugh, didn't want to talk about it. And I could see he was looking back. I thought, you're never going to get it. And he said, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm in a foul mood. And he goes, what's wrong? I said, you're not going to understand. And
Mm.
I think that hurt him a little bit. He said, why don't you think why don't you think I'd understand? We come and sit up here. I remember being on the kitchen bench, and I sat next to him, and he said, just try me. I promise I'll just listen. And the floodgates. And I just, oh, and I just let it all out. And there's been a couple occasions like that where I've been the one thinking, there's no way you're going to get this. I don't even get it.
Mm.
And he's just sat there and listened, um, and proven me it's not that he doesn't get me, it's that I won't allow him to get me. I don't
Yeah.
trust enough, because I've been let down in the past, perhaps by other male figures. You're just, and so
Mm.
that's been something I needed to heal. And I wonder how many other women out there who've got this story running, he doesn't get me, might be like me, thinking, I don't feel safe, I don't trust myself to be that vulnerable. It's not
Mm.
safer to just think you don't get me. Then it's your fault. You're the problem. It's not that I find it hard to be vulnerable. It's you. Mm.
And I think then that creates a bit of a control pattern as well, because then you're controlling that situation and you not allowing to express yourself, because that's such a vulnerable thing to do, right? It's such a vulnerable thing to really open up and be able to share that. And you don't know how, like, you don't know what they're going to say or how they're going, how they're going to respond. And then they're seeing you, like, really seeing you, and
Mm.
then this vulnerability comes up, and like, what I'm feeling is that, like, then suddenly I'm like, oh my gosh, that this what's really hard for me is to be loved and to receive love.
Mm.
And that, and so me control, like, I could imagine me controlling that sort of situation so that I didn't get that influx of love, because for me it feels unsafe.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, and it's a trust thing. It's a, can I rely?
Mm.
Are you gonna hold it,
Mm.
or are you gonna drop it and leave me feeling, yeah,
Mm.
hurt and vulnerable? And, um, yeah, and I was listening to, Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah the other day. There's a
Mm.
line in it that we all know, and it says, "There was a time when you let me know what's really going on below, but now you never show that to me, do you?" And I thought,
Oh.
see, that's for a man. For
Mm.
a woman to be that vulnerable with him is such a beautiful and sacred thing, and makes the man feel trusted and like
Mm.
the container, the for the woman's waves, to be able to hold.
Mm.
And it's actually, we feel, and I think this took me so long to learn, men and women are not the same. I look at my, and I still fall into this trap of thinking he's so stable. It's like, yeah, because he's not running a uterus. So, he doesn't have a wave to ride. He's got a testosterone spike in the morning. That's all he's got. You would be
That's
like
it.
that too if you didn't, you're a woman. It's different. Um,
Mm.
and, but it's a gift for us to be emotional, not attacking. The big gift,
Mm.
this is why the story I'm telling myself is so beautiful, because you're able to say, what you did has hurt me because the story I'm telling myself about it is that you don't care. Is that
Mm,
true? Have I got this wrong? Please tell me I have." And it opens it up for them to say, "Oh, darling, really? That's what you thought that meant? Oh, no, that's not true at all." And they're able to come in and really be
mm,
a loving partner. What a difference. Like from creating attack and defense and how dare you think that of me? I would never do that. The thing when you attack someone is you're never going to get the apology.
ever.
Well, why would they? That I would too. I'm like, I'm not apologizing that for because that's not my intention. I never did that.
Mm,
I can see, I've got my body language going up now, just role playing it, crossing
mm,
my arms, going, I'm not apologizing because I don't agree. And I think so many people have been labeled narcissists when really all, and I know narcissistic behavior certainly exists, but I think a lot of people, a lot of men, women too, perhaps, have been labeled narcissists because they've been attacked for something they really didn't do or mean, and the other person's demanding an apology, and they just,
mm.
I won't and they say, "Oh, a narcissist will never apologize." And I go, "Yeah, neither will a person who's been accused of something they know they didn't do or have an intention of." And I think we've got to be really wary of that when we're triggered, to not think, to not start having. I mean, how many of us have Googled, "Is my partner a narcissist?" in those dark moments where we feel we're completely right and justified to feel
Mm,
as hurt as we do.
so true.
Mm, controversial.
Yeah. Totally.
So you mentioned before you've developed all these tools, and I know this, but what's the most important thing for you as far as, yeah, healing PMDD? What have some of the most important tools been for you?
Mm. For me, the meditation practice was definitely number one during that time.
Mhm.
But then also what I found, and still to this day that I use, it's not just the meditation in every morning. It's all those moments throughout the day that you can stop and pause and just ask really great questions. I still do that now. I have post-its all over my house
Oh,
that says
cool. Mhm.
that say, hand on heart, take 3 breaths.
Mhm. Mhm.
And even when I'm not triggered, it's just because sometimes we just go on autopilot.
Mhm. For
And,
sure. Yeah.
and having that reminder, and yes, sometimes I see the post-it and I don't do it. It's not like I do it all the time, but it's
Yeah, yeah, I got the memo.
it
Yeah.
but, and some days I do forget, but when I do it regularly, or if I've done it more than, 3, 4 times in a day, and when I do that practice, a question automatically will come up. And sometimes it will be, what do I need right now? It's like, and or sometimes just, what are you doing? Like, what are you actually doing right now? So I can actually be present and be,
Mm.
am I just running on a hamster wheel? Am I, where am I? And also checking in to see where I am in my, in my nervous system. I think regulating the nervous system, first of all, not only regulating your nervous system, but actually knowing where you are in in your nervous system, and then pulling out a tool when it's like, all right, I'm in sympathetic right now, and I need to do some sort of tool, or if I'm in dorsal, what can I do? And I think that's just so important. So, yes, it's great to do one practice in the day, but it's the one all through the day. That's
So
that's important.
so for those who are listening that are hearing you say dorsal, sympathetic, parasympathetic,
Mm.
and are going, "What is what? Huh? What's this new language I haven't heard before?" Can you give a quick little crash course
Mm.
in nervous system regulation and just
Mm.
just elevate
Yeah,
it?
no, I
Yeah.
can. Just really, it's very simply, we've got a few systems that we run on, our nervous system runs on. It's, and the three states, let's just go with the three states. There are a couple more, but the main ones are ventral, which we love. Ventral's calm, feel connected, feel at peace. Sympathetic is you're running around, you're nervous, like you're in a heightened state, And it's that analogy of you've seen a tiger and you need to run away kind of thing. So you're in sort of flight mode. And then there's dorsal, which the words come like this is where if you're in a bit more of a depressive or you're in a meh sort of mood,
Mhm.
and you don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't feel like making dinner tonight. I'm feeling really off. But with because sometimes you can still be tired in that ventral sort of state, but
Mm,
there's this extra little in the dorsal phase. It's a little bit more like I'm just like why do I even want to do that? And that's
mm,
feeling a bit, yeah.
mm.
And knowing where you are throughout the day and then having specific tools that to get you sort of coming back to a calmer state is so powerful. It's just another tool, I guess, to coming back to self, uh, and coming back to calmness, peace, because it's
Mm.
so easy. It's so easy to just becoming suddenly on the hamster wheel, and not being present.
Yeah, that presence is such an important thing. I teach that a lot as well, that we can get stuck in this tumble dryer, which is like spinning
Mm,
towards the future. We're worrying about what if, what if, what if, or ruminating towards the past. Oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Um, Thinking that we're achieving something, but we're really not. We're only perpetuating the state, and we're not present. We're lost. We're lost in the tumble dryer.
mm,
And how do you know you're in the tumble dryer? Because your body will tell you you are.
mm,
Had that feeling where you just feel a bit yuck, and then you go, why don't I feel good? Oh yeah, that's right. I was thinking about that thing. You sort of, the body tells you you don't feel good, and then
mm,
you realize why you don't, sort of as an afterthought. But it runs on all the time. Uh,
mm,
and what was I going to say? Yeah, this changing states. I heard a great analogy recently. I wish I could remember where I heard it from to credit the person,
mm,
but that it's like an elevator. So if you're in the real meh state, let's just call that the basement of the building.
mm,
You open the doors of that basement where you're just at energy level, and all you can access are the rats and the boiler room. And like, there's nothing good down here. It's dark, there's no windows, it's fluorescent lighting. It's just, ugh. And that's what it's like when you let your thoughts run when you're in that state. I had a client sort of write to me yesterday saying, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do my business," and she was just in a really scared. And she said, I don't know, I've just been really sick and I haven't slept very well." I went, "Stop, stop, 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 stop. Why are you thinking in this state? Switch your brain off. Nothing good's going to come from the basement." Um, and then to sort of think, so I'm not responsible. I don't so much have to worry about changing my thinking, which is what we're taught to do.
mm,
And I do agree with it as well. Yes, but check your state. If you're feeling meh, go out for a walk.
mm,
Watch one of your favorite comedians for a while. Call a girlfriend. Phone your mum if you've got a great relationship with her. Play with your dog. Do something else and shift your state. Then switch your brain back on and start thinking.
mm.
Try and get yourself to the penthouse where the hot tub is and the view of the sea. Champagne's flowing and there are, you know,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's you need a reset. Like staying there is not going to be helpful at all. And I think, and going back to the question about, if there's someone here listening, that's been diagnosed with PMDD, and, you know, they're just allowing this to sort of keep, this these thoughts and these dark nights happening throughout the month. it we really do need to cultivate awareness and awareness practice, and that could be different for everybody. Even
Mhm,
though that I've stated, meditation was key for me, maybe meditation's not it's not your thing, and that's okay. There
mhm,
is so many different things that we can do out there to get us into a state of awareness and into a state of presence, and that could be, journaling, yeah, meditation, obviously, breath work, just making a cup of tea and drinking a cup of tea in silence by yourself and just being,
Without
and
scrolling as we do it.
allowing.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and one thing that a lot of people say is like, "Oh, I can't because my mind is too busy, and there's just too many thoughts." I'm like, That's the work.
Yeah.
That's
It's
that's it."
in bliss, the work is it's like lifting weights. Um,
Mm,
we do an exercise in the red tent called the armchair where you you stay in presence and you watch the thoughts come in and
mm,
you put them in an armchair. So it's just this practice of I'm in presence. I see the thought, but I'm not going to now jump on that train. I'm parking it over here. What's coming next? Oh, another thought that also goes to the armchair. And after a while, you develop this presence. You do it for 2 weeks, 3 minutes a day,
mm,
and you're training your brain to stay as the watcher, which so few of us realize we can be. We're not the thoughts; we're the one watching the thoughts. But we get so caught up in the movie in our mind, we think that's our life, and no, our life's happening outside of the movie.
mm,
That's the first thing in the program that I run. It's all about there's metacognitive psychology and the armchair exercise and developing presence. And I sort of talk about this as becoming a really good surfer of the waves. The waves that come, you're like, yep, got it, I see that, no, to the left, put that to the side,
mm,
don't engage with that, no. What am I making this mean? All the things that we've sort of talked about. And that's all well and good until a tsunami comes. And this is why we also do the deeper trauma work at the subconscious level, which does work at the level of the body, the nervous system, because you need to undo that trauma. And so those two things together are why it's so effective. There's
mm.
surfing the waves and reducing the size of the tsunami to surfable waves. And if you've got all that done, you've pretty much worked it out. Even if we don't want big waves are trying to get your attention, there are alarm bells going off. It's a
Mm.
inflamed thorn, as I often talk about, in your foot. It's not meant to be there. It's getting your attention. Look at me. This is not you. Come and pull this out. This awful belief that you've got running. Yeah.
And it's so interesting that you use a surfing analogy. I used to use one too, and it's very similar to what you said, but it's also the one that I'd like to add to that is that when you've done this practice often, it feels like, sometimes things do come about and, will knock you off your surfboard,
Mm,
and if when you haven't done the work, the surfboard, like the leg rope gets pulled off, it's cut off, you've lost the surfboard and you're trying to
yeah.
survive in the
Yeah.
water. But
Yeah.
when you've been doing the work, yeah, you might fall off the surfboard, but the
Mm,
surfboard's just there. It's right there, and you know how to get back on it,
yeah.
and you paddle out again, and you go and and you ride another wave,
Mm.
and everything. It's okay.
It reminds me of speaking of surfing. It was early in my relationship with my husband now, Anas, and he was talking about himself like as a kind of a tanker ship. He's not flighty. He'll make decisions. He'll change his coordinates, and then he'll like slowly move. And he's not. What are we doing? Yeah, he's not this spontaneous crazy. He's sort of like he's measured and he's emotionally in the moment just the most stable person I've ever met. It's quite, how you've got your partner that will also be able to say the story I'm telling myself is that doesn't happen. There is no story because it's so clear. I don't know. He just had such a great childhood growing up on this organic
Mm,
commune in Denmark with just really being raised by a village. It's when they say it takes a child to raise a village,
mm,
he got that, and you can see the difference in him compared to so many other people, just where you've got that community of constant support around you. So he's sort of this anomaly as far as humans go. I don't
mm.
know anyone else like you. You're just so stable. And he said, and yeah, so I'm on this tanker ship. He said, and you're a bit on a surfboard, like you're like with every wave, because the waves just come and lap at the sides for me. But oh yeah, there's some waves. Keep tankering
Yeah.
along. And he goes, but if ever you get tired of the waves, you can always just come up and rest on the tanker ship. And I went, no.
Oh.
And it is sometimes like that where you just go, yeah. I just need to, like that time I talked about on the kitchen bench where I just fell apart. I just let him be the tank
Mm,
and
yeah,
get
that's
myself
so
on.
beautiful.
Yes, that's I'm very lucky. But also I've become a match for someone that wonderful. It took,
Mm,
I did a lot of work to you need to believe you're worth that. You need to believe
mm,
you're a prize
mm,
worth cherishing, and I think I still had plenty more healing to do when we met, but I was certainly in a place where I was ready for something excellent. I
mm,
was saying the next time it's either mutual adoration or nothing. Because what I've got with myself is so good. I'm not willing to just trade this in for something that's not as good or better. And
mm.
yeah, that was raising the bar, and the universe delivered, definitely. You know, yeah. So, what else do we need to talk about? What else do you feel? Oh, there's still also this that I wanted to say, or something else that would be worth talking about.
Mm. I truly believe that if there's anyone listening, that really realize that you really aren't alone. And there is so much support out there, even though PMDD is something that's still very new. There is so much support out there. And sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, well, they won't listen to me." But try, or find someone that will listen.
Mm,
Find someone, when just not everyone will listen. We're talking about GPs, we're talking about any health profession out there. There's plenty of GPs out there. There's plenty of health professionals out there. And even though, yeah, I feel like it's really important to know that there is a lot of support. You're not alone. And you really can heal from PMDD. And I don't want to say naturally because I feel like but you have all the tools within you. You have everything you need to become PMDD symptom free. It's as simple as that.
mm,
And I think, and I remember asking you this question, Natalie, when I interviewed you, and I asked you, like, who is this for? Who is this work for? Can this work on anybody? That's what I asked. And I
mhm.
remember you saying, you need to be willing.
Yeah, you need to be ready to say, "I'm done with being a victim." I know it's
Mm,
harsh, but I used to be a victim, so,
mm,
we've all been there, that, "Why is this happening to me? It's not fair, it's my hormones." And the other thing I always say, which is also harsh, "Oh, you can stay in victimhood if you want to, but then you have to stay in victimhood." And victimhood is a powerless, sucky place to be. So you really need to get to that place, and I say this all the time, no one's coming to save you. There's not some pill that fixes this. It can mask it for a little bit if you want. You can numb yourself out. You can flatten your cycle and see if that does something, but there's no way through but through this. Your body is sending you an alarm. Um, I don't know why it happens to some women and not others. I tend to think it's the healers of the world, that the
mm,
healers and the artists and the ones who feel deeply. Certainly, every client I've ever had ticks those boxes. So perhaps we're the canaries in the mine, that are
mm,
more sensitive and are having here to do some really deep stuff to wake up. Maybe we're really
mm.
special, and
But in the end, Natalie, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why someone has, why did we get this? Why are we experiencing these symptoms?
Yeah, the
It
why
doesn't,
me, that's still a victimhood question. The fact is, why are some people prone to being overweight? Why are some people prone to diabetes? Well, there's a whole lot of why me? But you can also say, well,
mm,
why not me? There's plenty of people
mm,
got this. Um, and this is my journey, and this is my adversity that's going to shape me into everything I'm going to become. We all have our cross to bear, our thing to come through that makes us who we are. Certainly I wouldn't be who I am without it, and
mm.
nor would you. And we couldn't teach what we teach now if we hadn't learned these deeply difficult lessons. Yeah.
And, a question that I love to ask at the end of each episode of the podcast is, what's the silver lining
Mm,
of having, PMDD symptoms? And like I get goosebumps. I can't, like, I pinch myself that this is my reality now.
mm,
That 6 years ago, I never would have thought that I would be in a loving relationship, not just a relationship, but a beautiful, loving relationship with somebody that is willing to do the work, to have a 10-month-old baby.
mm,
I not only did I suffer PMDD, but I also, had endometriosis. And I honestly, for up until I got pregnant, I just thought I wouldn't be able to get pregnant. Like, I just
mm,
I just
mm,
thought that my body just didn't have it, because it was that broken, inverted commas, broken.
mhm.
And I'm living in one of the most beautiful areas in Australia, in the Northern Rivers, where people come to holiday all the
Yeah,
time.
it's your life. Yeah.
This is my life. This is
Mm,
my life, and I wouldn't be here if without a PMDD diagnosis. I wouldn't be here if I had have just taken a pill, or went down all these other routes. I leaned in. I did the work,
mm,
and I'm still doing the work, because I want to keep evolving.
yeah,
And yes, it can be difficult, and yes, but I always say, when you go through that wormhole of difficulty and you come out the other side, it's just magic. It really
yeah,
is.
yeah, it is.
And I truly hope that, that when people, that have been suffering from PMDD do get to the other side, that they speak up and they become the healers, and they share whatever worked for them with others, so that they can heal too. It's so important.
Yeah, great message to end on. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing and having this lovely conversation where we've gone all over the place,
Mm.
but in a great way. And um, yeah, and if you want to, I'll drop all the details for where to find Adriana. She has a fantastic podcast called the PMDD podcast. So fantastic guests from all areas of women's health and those
Mm.
who suffer with PMDD talking about their journeys. So that's a really great podcast to listen to as well. If you like this one, then you'll love Adriana's as well. Thanks so much,
Mm.
Adriana.
Thanks so much, Natalie. It's been such a pleasure.
If you found this episode helpful, I'd love it if you could take a moment to rate and review the podcast. Your support helps us reach more women who might need this message of hope and healing. And don't forget to share this episode with anyone who could benefit from it, a friend, a sister, or someone in your community. You can follow me on Instagram at Natalie Ryan Hebert and at the Red Tent PMDD. I'd love to hear your thoughts and connect with you there.